The chamber hissed as the cryo seal broke. Frost spilled over the edge of the pod like smoke from a dying fire. A man sat upright inside, shirtless, silent, eyes scanning with lethal precision before the fog fully lifted. Muscles coiled, scars etched across his chest like war stories carved into flesh. He didn't shiver, didn't blink, just breathed. Sergeant Dominic Cale, Earth Sniper Division, Ghost Team 9. Outside the chamber, a dozen alien officers stared from behind a reinforced pane. A few chuckled among themselves. One of them, a tall crystalline being with facets glowing amber under the sterile light, muttered, "This is what they sent us?" A relic from a rock barely crawling out its gravity well. Another, feathered, lean, with gold-plated wings curled behind his back, snorted. Humans always boast about their warriors. All I see is a half-naked primate, just waking from hibernation. Commander Draxo stood with arms crossed, silent. His cold, reptilian gaze remained locked on the human. The Phyrexian leader's jaw was lined with jagged battle plates, old and cracked. A soldier who'd survived enough to know better than to laugh too early. "Let's see what he does when briefed," Draxos growled, turning from a window. Minutes later, Dom was dressed in matte black armor, old world steel composite, no active camouflage, no neural link interface. Analog, manual, outdated. His rifle, a long barrel with etched grooves, bore none of the sleek grace of Coalition weaponry. It looked like it belonged in a museum. Inside the war briefing chamber, holograms danced midair, grids of enemy movement, projected terrains, and heat maps glowing with warnings. The room was full of elite operatives, avians from Rail, crystalline tacticians from Obsidar, insectoid assassins from the Chitarak Swarm, all of them armed, enhanced, and bio-linked to the Coalition's global war network. The Zertal front was collapsing, these shape-shifting. Cloaked predators had turned Tarsus, 9 into a graveyard of shattered armor and lost honor. Coalition losses were mounting. Earth had offered one man. Dom stood silent as the briefing played, his eyes scanning the layout with a hunter's cold clarity. General Varen, the crystalline commander, gestured toward the map. "Our scans are disrupted. The Zertal use phase-shielded cloaking. Heat signatures vanish. Motion tracking is futile. Our AIs cannot calculate effective threat vectors. We are blind." The avian, Talon Creer, grinned. "And the humans sent a sniper to do what? Exactly? Shoot guesses." Dom didn't reply. Varen's light dimmed, a shift in tone. "Sergeant Cale, your orders are to support our western flank. We suggest stationing with the Obsidar cannon unit. Minimal exposure, rear guard fire support." Dom finally spoke, voice coarse from cryo-sleep. "No." The room turned. "I need elevation. Western tower. 2 kilometers from front line. Broken spire. Give me that." Varen raised a crystalline brow. "That area is unstable. It's marked for collapse. No uplink. No air cover." Dom slung his rifle over one shoulder. "I don't need uplink." Draxo's eyes narrowed, a smirk barely hidden behind a gritted snout. "He wants to shoot ghosts from a crumbling tower alone?" "I only need a line of sight," Dom said. Talon laughed. "You're out of your depth, Earthborn." Dom stepped forward, gaze meeting Talon's with unsettling calm. "We had cloakers. Back home. Jungle ghosts. No AI. No tech. Just dirt, nerves, and time. You learn patience." "Patience doesn't win wars," Varen snapped. "No," Dom said, "but it ends enemies." No one spoke for a moment. Draxos finally stepped forward, voice even. "Let him have the tower. If he dies, it costs us nothing. If he kills anything at all, it's a bonus." Varen looked displeased, but nodded. The decision was made. 30 minutes later, the dropship rattled over the ruins of Arcadium Prime. The skyline of Tarsus, 9 was a fractured silhouette. Burned steel skeletal towers, clouds of ash choke in the upper atmosphere. The Zertal owned the streets. Coalition troops were buried beneath them. Dom stood in the open bay door, harnessed in, his sniper rifle cradled in his arms like an old friend. The pilot, a rail barely out of training, glanced back. No support. No evac window. You'll be cut off. I know. What are you planning to do out there, human? Dom pulled a steel bullet from his belt pouch. The casing gleamed even in the smoky dusk. He placed it into the chamber. It clicked. Count. Then he stepped off the ship. The air howled around him as he dropped through the atmosphere. The wind peeled around his armor, and he guided himself with a manual shoot, no AI correction. The Coalition didn't trust him with battlefield integration. He preferred it that way. He landed hard, rolling into the rubble. No welcome, no fire team, just ghosts and concrete. The western tower loomed ahead, a broken spire, the top twisted and half collapsed. It looked ready to fall at any moment. Perfect. He climbed without hesitation, hands wrapping around steel rebar, boot soles scraping crumbling ledges. No noise, no radio. At the top, the city sprawled before him in ruin. Fires dotted the streets. Explosions echoed distant and hollow. He could see flashes, brief, sudden, and final. Zertal strikes, ambushes, screams over comms. Alien soldiers dying in confusion. Dom lay prone, rested the rifle on a beam, and opened the scope. No uplink, no tracking, just glass and breath. He slowed his heart rate. 1 breath, 2. He waited. Movement. There, a blur between shadows. Too smooth, too fast. A shimmer. He adjusted 2 clicks right. Bang. The Zertal's cloaking fizzled as its corpse dropped midair. Coalition comms buzz alive with confusion. We have a visual flicker, unknown source. Unit Theta, 3 to survive an ambush. Target neutralized before contact. Talon Creer's voice cut in. Is this Kale? No response. Dom reloaded. Another shimmer. Closer. Bounding over a crumbled vehicle. Bang. Dead. 2. Dom whispered it to no one. He took out a small strip of tape and marked a black line on the stock of his rifle. 1 notch. Then another. Let's keep counting. An hour passed. Then another. The Zertal advanced across 5 sectors. Coalition squads were pinned, falling, but not near Dom's tower. Not anymore. Every time a cloak flickered near his sight line, a body dropped. Coalition troops started noticing. Unknown sniper. Sector Delta. We're clearing ground. He's covering U.S. Someone's got eyes up top. A single transmission finally broke the silence. Dom, Kale, you read? It was Draxos. Dom didn't answer. Draxos spoke again, quieter. Keep shooting. Dom exhaled. Another round chambered. He didn't smile. Didn't breathe easier. He just continued. A man built for one thing. Deliver death. 1 breath at a time. Ash fell like gray snow over the ruined city. Smoke curled from craters carved by plasma artillery. Every block was a silent graveyard filled with the burnt-out husks of Coalition transports and twitching bodies that had once been elite soldiers. The enemy wasn't seen. It was felt, its presence, like breath on the back of your neck just before the knife entered. At the top of the spire, Dom Kale lay motionless. He hadn't eaten in 30 hours. He hadn't spoken in 20. His pulse hovered at 42 beats per minute. His rifle, lined with fresh notches, rested in the groove of a scorched beam. Through the scope, he watched. Another movement. Near the derelict tram station, low and fast. He inhaled, held. The shot echoed only in the kill. Across the comms, a garbled voice gasped. We were pinned. Something just dropped the ambush. Who's? Click. Silence. Dom chambered another round. The recoil was familiar, grounding. His knuckles were cracked, stained with grime. One hand gently scratched a fresh tally into the stock. 13. The Zertal had adapted. He could tell. Their movements were faster now, more cautious. They'd learned someone was watching. He adjusted for wind. Another flicker in the alley below, a shimmer against the flow of smoke. 14. Each kill was a message. Not to the enemy, but to the Coalition watching from their bunkers and carriers. He didn't need uplinks. Didn't need drones or data swarms. He just needed line of sight, gravity, and time. Down on street level, the rail unit known as Talon Creer's Talons was bleeding out. Only 3 of them remained. Talon Creer himself was pinned against the side of a wrecked transport, his pulse rifle empty, one wing scorched black. "Command, this is Talon Alpha. Zertal are cloaked and advancing. We can't see them. We need—" Bang! The shimmer beside the vehicle dropped, cloak flickering into static before crumpling into a heap. Talon froze, looked up. Another blur moved across the rooftop. Bang! Gone. He squinted through the smoke, up toward the skyline, toward the broken spire. A black silhouette. A man, unmoving, watching. Is that the human? He blinked. Dom wasn't there anymore. Already shifted. Already tracking something else. The tower had become a legend in the making. Word had started to spread across channels, between squads who never spoke before. They called him the ghost on the spire, the Eye of Death. One Obsidar mech unit simply referred to him as him. Dom didn't know. He didn't care. He worked. South of his tower, Sector 5 was being overrun. The Chitterak squad, known for their speed and hive comms, had lost half their number in minutes. Their captain, Zelvar Keen, skittered between wreckage, dual plasma daggers humming. "Command, this is Unit Theta. Zertal reinforcements incoming. We are unable to flank. Request suppression fire." Nothing responded, except for the crack of a single rifle. One of the Zertal collapsed mid-leap, blood misting into the air. Zel froze. His antennae twitched. Again, another shot. The enemy cloaker behind the rubble exploded backward. Headless. He hissed into his comms. Sniper support, location unknown. Targeting perfection. Dom kept working the bolt. 15, 16, 17. He watched the enemy movements evolve in real time. The Zertal no longer rushed. They flanked, distracted, tried to lure him. Clever, but not clever enough. They didn't understand patience. Dom had learned in the swamps of old Earth, where humidity and bugs tested your sanity more than any enemy ever could. He'd laid underwater for hours, eyes above the surface, breathing through a reed, waiting for the one shot that mattered. His mind never raced. It measured. Now, here, on a moon light years from home, he was doing the same thing. Breathing, watching, killing. The gear had changed. The enemy had changed. But the principle remained. A single Zertal, massive, armored, move across open ground. A test. A decoy. Dom didn't shoot. 3 more flickers shifted across rooftops. Shadow twins trying to triangulate him. He waited. Then the slightest heat bloomed from a plasma cell, warming prematurely. He rotated 40 degrees left. Bang! The sniper beast crumpled from the tower opposite. The others vanished. The coalition had no time to question his methods. They only saw results. Draxo stood at a command table back aboard the Dreadnought Valor's claw, staring at the kill feed. "This can't be right." Varen snapped. "Over 50? No link data. No bioconfirmation signatures. It's fabrication." Draxo's tongue flicked across a scar near his jaw. "It's not fabrication. It's Dom Kale. He has no neural sync, no tactical uplink. He doesn't need one." Varen turned. "We have better trained soldiers, augmented, genetically enhanced." "Better?" Draxos growled. "They're dead." Back on Tarsus 9, Dom took a long, slow sip from his canteen. The water tasted like rust. He didn't care. His stomach hadn't growled in hours. The sky darkened, not just with smoke, but with something heavier. A storm front of Zertal movement. Their main force. Hundreds of signatures. No pattern, no formation, just a swarm. Through the scope, Dom watched them approach. The coalition didn't know yet. He reached for his radio. The ancient one. Analog frequency. No digital tags. Draxos. The line hissed. A pause. "Kale? They're coming." "How many?" "All of them." There was silence. Not fear. Not disbelief. Just silence. Then, where? Grid 9. Through the chasm. They're bypassing the city. Going for command. "Can you delay?" Dom looked at his bullets. Counted them. He nodded to himself. Long enough. Then the radio cut. Dom adjusted position, laid flat, waited. He didn't speak. He didn't pray. He didn't blink. The first wave came fast. Low-profile runners cloaked, fanning wide. Bang, bang, bang. 3 fell before the rest even reacted. The rest scattered, but now they knew. They were marked. The second wave flanked from both sides. Dom repositioned mid-roll. No spotter, no tech. Bang. Pause. Bang. His body moved like muscle memory, pre-programmed in a past life. The only living code in a battlefield of dying algorithms. Zelvarkeen saw the Zertal falter. He sprinted through their ranks, cutting them down. Pushed forward. We have eyes in the sky. Krier's talons rallied behind him. Wings flared. Voices raised in battle cries now backed by steel certainty. For the first time in days, the coalition advanced. Atop the spire, Dom reloaded. Again. Another tally scratched into the rifle. He didn't feel heroic. He didn't feel like a legend. He felt necessary. The tower had become more than just a vantage point. It was a symbol. A cracked finger of steel clawing skyward, crowned by one man whose trigger dictated survival or extinction. Beneath it, squads moved differently now. Cautiously, but not fearfully. They knew something watched from above. Something cold. Something certain. Dom Kale had become a myth. Coalition chatter had changed. No longer jokes about Earth's primitive tools or outdated warriors. Now, Dom's name came up with reverence, often whispered across encrypted channels like a talisman against the invisible death that stalked them. Even those who hadn't seen him believed he was real. He was too effective not to be. Draxos leaned forward on the command platform aboard Valor's Claw, talons digging into the metal railing. How many confirmed? 79, said the Chitterak's adjutant beside him, eyes flickering through logs. 200 if you count the ambushes he broke. 200 from one man. Draxos muttered. He's not a sniper. He's an extinction event. Back on Tarsus 9, a young scout darted between scorched husks of vehicles. Zelvarkeen, antennae twitching, slid into cover near a collapsed column. He scanned the rooftops until he found the shattered tower. It was distant, nearly lost in smoke. He tapped his earpiece. Tower sniper. If you're listening, I have wounded. Sector 12. Moving east. I don't need a miracle, just one eye. No response. Zell signaled a surviving drone. It blinked blue once before launching skyward, offering a brief vertical glimpse of the terrain. Too brief. It exploded midair. Cloaker fire. Zell cursed and pulled a wounded Obsidar Marine over his shoulder. The first shimmer came from behind, silent and low. Zell spun. Bang. It collapsed 3 meters from him mid-strike. He froze. Another shimmer. Another crack. Blood hit his armor, not his face. He didn't speak. He just nodded up at the tower and ran, dragging the Obsidar behind him. In the tower, Dom adjusted his scope. Breath steady. A new tally marked. He wasn't counting to gloat. He counted to stay sane. He'd seen numbers rise before on Earth, in forgotten jungles where wars were fought without maps. He had counted not bodies, but breaths. Each one he stole from an enemy bought another for a teammate. That hadn't changed. Talon Krier called in. Ghost of the Spire. We've started timing advances with your shots. Every crack clears 5 meters. Keep playing God. Dom didn't reply. Words didn't matter. Not anymore. His world had shrunk to scope rings and trigger weight. Draxos contacted him directly. Kale, they're shifting. We think they've recognized your influence. Their leaders are moving against you. Heavier units. Experimental cloaks. We want you to pull back. Dom checked his ammo. Then he scratched a notch into his rifle. No. Draxos hesitated. We can't replace you. You won't need to. Kale, I'm not the one they're hunting. I'm the one hunting them. The transmission ended. As night fell, movement across rooftops grew sharper. Faster. Cloaking fields now bent light, with eerie fluidity. The Zertal had adapted again. Dom didn't flinch. He repositioned. Shot. Moved. Shot again. A dead rhythm. Perfect and brutal. He began using angles, ricochet strikes, mirrored kills. They tried to anticipate him. They couldn't, but they kept coming. By hour 7, he'd shifted his position 6 times. Debris and blood scattered each perch. His armor was cracked, his right hand swollen from recoil fatigue. The notches had filled the entire side of his rifle. He began marking the underside. Below, Zelvarkeen climbed the tower, not to reach Dom, but to learn from him. He'd seen what others hadn't, that each shot wasn't luck. It was math, memory, and experience layered over instinct. Zel paused halfway up, breath ragged. He saw the first perch, burned, casings everywhere. Blood Dom's? Someone else's? Impossible to tell. No food, no gear, just one man's silent war. Zel didn't climb farther. He just sat, facing outward, weapon drawn, mimicking Dom's posture. If nothing else, he could cover the lower tier. He wouldn't speak unless spoken to. Hours passed. At midnight, the comms filled with screaming. Coalition command centers were being overrun. The Zertao had breached 3 lines of defense. They'd used their expendables to map weak spots. Dom scanned the skyline. Then he saw it. Far in the distance, one figure. Massive, moving directly through open space. Not cloaked, not flanked. Something new. Dom zoomed in. It was no scout. It wore composite armor, organic in chitinous, layered with plasma-absorbing plates. Its face was a bone mask carved with ritual scars. It carried no ranged weapon, just a blade. A duelist. They had sent him a challenge. Dom rested his cheek against a rifle, watched it approach. Draxo's voice broke in. We're detecting heavy quantum disruption. That one's linked directly to the enemy's battle core. They sent a blade bound. What's the kill value? Unknown. He's not on the records. Dom reloaded. Then I'll start the count. He waited. The blade bound moved with terrifying precision. Any squad in its path was eviscerated. Not killed, destroyed. One moment they screamed. The next they were missed. It wasn't just strength. It was purpose. Dom watched for weaknesses. The stride, the turn, the angle of the blade. Every movement betrayed something. He adjusted 3 degrees for a gust of wind. Held his breath. Bang. The shot struck the warrior in the chest. Direct, but the armor absorbed it. The creature stopped. Turned. It had heard the bullet. Tracked its origin. Dom breathed out. Reloaded. Shot again. The warrior raised its arm. Caught the bullet on its gauntlet. Dom didn't react. Shifted position. The blade bound sprinted. Up walls. Over rooftops. Straight toward the tower. Zel's eyes widened. What is that? Dom didn't answer. Already moving. He left the perch, descended 2 levels, set up a trap, tripwire linked to a single charge. Zel dropped down with him. You're not staying up top? I don't need elevation to kill one. Dom moved like shadow. Zel followed. The blade bound entered the tower moments later. Every footfall shook the structure. Dom waited. The tripwire snapped. The blast exploded, but the warrior burst with fire, body smoldering but unbroken. Zel opened fire. Plasma rounds hit, nothing penetrated. Dom raised his rifle. No scope, just iron sights. He aimed for the knee, fired. The blade bound staggered. Again, the ankle. The warrior fell, blade scraping the wall. Dom advanced, slow, deliberate. The Zertao rose to one knee. Still alive, still ready to fight. Dom stopped just out blade reach. Kill count, 223, he said. The blade came. Dom stepped sideways. Bang. Point blank. Under the chin. The warrior dropped. Zel stared. Speechless. Dom wiped blood from his scope and walked back up the stairs. I've got more work. The final wave came without warning. No comm disruption, no orbital pings. Just silence, then darkness. As if the planet had exhaled and extinguished its own flame. Lights in the Coalition forward base flickered and died. Command drones dropped from the air like broken toys. Satellite feeds cut to black. Then the signal came. One word, embedded in an enemy-coded burst. Extinguish. Dom Kale didn't flinch. He watched from his perch on the second highest level of the broken tower, eyes steady behind the scope, breath slower than ever. From the cratered ridge east of Arcadium Prime, they emerged. Not cloaked, not subtle, a mass of bodies, larger than anything the Coalition had encountered since arrival. Hundreds, no, thousands, of Zertal, larger variants, plated and glowing with internal bioluminescence, their cloaks disabled by design. This wasn't a hunt. It was an execution. They didn't run or flank. They marched methodically in a broad wedge formation. No retreat, no caution. They were sacrificing everything for one purpose: wiping out the tower, killing the sniper, killing Dom. Above, the spire groaned under its own weight. Its skeleton had grown brittle with every shockwave, every shot, every breath of time. Dom had held it together like he held the front by will alone. Below him, Zelvarkeen adjusted his stance. The Chitarak scout had stopped asking questions hours ago. Now he simply mirrored, rifle in hand, eyes sharp, shoulders squared. "They're not stopping," Zell said, antennae twitching as he scanned the horizon. "I don't expect them to." Dom reached down and unwrapped a cloth roll from his belt. Hand-loaded ammunition, steel rounds with tungsten cores. No plasma, no explosive tips. Just pure, old-world weight. He loaded each bullet carefully, as if anointing them for ritual. Zell glanced over. "You planning to die up here?" Dom didn't answer. The first shot dropped the lead Zertal, shattering its chest plate and halting the formation for exactly 3 seconds. Then they resumed. He chambered the next. Fired. Another fell. The wave kept coming. Coalition frequencies were chaotic. Command posts screaming, battalions routed, no reinforcements inbound. Evacuation ships were on hold, grounded by a viral disruption code, seated by the Zertal's tech priests. There was nowhere to run. Draxo stood on the command deck of Valor's Claw, fists clenched. "We've lost 6 sectors in 30 minutes. Varen's voice cracked. "Recall the sniper. Use the emergency jump beacon. Extract him." Draxo stared at the blinking dot, representing Dom's position. It hadn't moved in 3 days. It pulsed like a heartbeat on the screen. He wouldn't come. "You don't know that." "I do." Back in the tower, Dom adjusted his position, wincing. His ribs were bruised. A cracked collarbone from the last fallback point. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from nerve fatigue. The recoil had worn deep into his body, like a drumbeat into flesh. Still he fired. Again, again, again. Zell shouted over the roar. "Ammo." Dom checked. 13. He fired. 12. More Zertal advanced. Not in lines anymore. Now in arcs, bounding, scattering, trying to surround the base of the tower. Zell fired 3 shots in quick succession. Missed one. Scored the next. His breathing hitched. "We can't hold this." Dom wiped blood from his temple. It wasn't fresh. Just reopened. Didn't matter. He marked another tally. Let them come. The ground quaked. A new form rose from behind the main charge, colossal, armored in obsidian bone, with a crest of shifting crystals atop its skull. It didn't carry weapons. It was a weapon, a Zertal siege beast. 4 legs, 6 eyes, a portable war god. Zell's voice caught. "We've never seen that before." Dom stood up. Zell looked at him, surprised. "Where are you going?" "Higher." "The structure's compromised." "So am I." He climbed the wrecked stairs, 1 step at a time, every motion deliberate. At the top, he knelt, set the rifle down, sighted the beast. It didn't care about bullets. So he aimed past it, at the rubble behind, at the unstable overhang just above its approach. Wind curled around him. The barrel lined up. He held his breath longer than he thought possible, then fired. The shot hit the overhang's fractured support beam. A second later, the cliff face gave out. Rocks, debris, and broken city steel collapsed in a thunderous wave. The siege beast vanished beneath it. Dust surged like a storm. Dom coughed hard. Blood painted his lips. Zell called out, voice cutting through static. You got it. You dropped it. But Dom wasn't listening. He leaned against the wall, legs buckling. He forced himself upright. Another shot. Another tally. The Zertal didn't break. They kept coming. 3, 4, 5 at a time. He fired. 6, 5. 4 rounds left. Zell screamed from below. We need to fall back. Dom's voice rasped over the channel. No, fall back. He didn't say it like a command. He said it like a truth. The final shots were the cleanest. No hesitation. No waste. 3, 2, 1. The last round he chambered slowly. He waited. A Zertal cloaker, somehow surviving in this chaos, attempted one final leap across a rooftop. Mid-flight, the shimmer broke. Dom fired. It hit the creature's center mass. It spun midair, dropped into the crater below. Empty chamber. Dom set the rifle down beside him, gently, almost like placing a child to sleep. Below, Zell scrambled up the stairs. He found Dom slumped against the wall, eyes open, breathing shallow. Zell kneeled. You need a medic. I'll call for evac. No time. Zell hesitated. You stopped them. All of them. They're retreating. Dom didn't answer. Just looked up at the night sky, now clearing of smoke. I was never meant to make it out, he said, voice like crushed gravel. Zell looked away. A drop pod roared overhead. Draxos himself, descending. He landed moments later, stepping through the smoke, pushing past medics. He stood in front of Dom. Dom looked up. Took you long enough. Draxos didn't smile. He looked down, as if seeing Dom for the first time. You held this moon. One man. Not for the moon, Dom said. For the count. Draxos tapped his wrist console. Final kill verification. 2,184. Zell exhaled. Draxos stared. Then Dom spoke again. I'm not the best shot in the galaxy. Just the last one you see. He closed his eyes. Not to sleep. To rest. Draxos turned to the others. Secure the site. No one disturbs the tower. Ever. Zell looked down at the rifle, scratched with hundreds of silent marks. A record not of glory, but of burden. The man the galaxy laughed had become its deadliest shadow, and the war would speak his name forever.